Let's go.
Hey everyone, and welcome back or welcome to my channel. Today's topic will be on filler members, which, immediate disclaimer, this is an opinion-based video. And so if you can't accept the fact that people's opinions might not reflect yours, do yourself a favor and don't bother watching. But yeah, being a filler member does imply that their existence within the group may be unnecessary, which I guess that is what I'm referring to when I talk about filler members. However, once again, all our eyes see things differently and focus on different things. So this does not mean that filler members that I will speak about are actually filler members, considering there's always an intention with every single member when companies decide to debut them. This video was actually inspired by a discussion I had within the comments a while ago, but also recently when Ray from IVE went on her hiatus during the I Am era. I watched some of their stages and low-key thought, damn, nothing feels like it's missing even though Ray isn't here. Obviously, that was only for one of their eras, and so this might not reflect their whole entire career of IVE. But yeah, I have 5 groups that I have chosen based on my only criteria being that there must be at least 2 people within the group that I would call filler, so I'm not really singling any member out if I only had one. I also chose these groups because I know their title tracks fairly well, which is kind of the only music that I would be considering, so also do keep that in mind. But yeah, before I start, I'd appreciate it if you could like and subscribe to my channel. But without further ado, let's start off with the first group. Starting off, we have Lightsum, which is the first group that came to mind when brainstorming ideas of groups with filler members. At first, I was thinking about how you could kind of separate them into 2 subunits with really different concepts. And then it kind of turned into the whole filler member thing. But yeah, I'm basically going to break it down based on the skills, since each group should have a decent rap, vocal, and dance line, or just members. So starting off, we have rap. I chose Sangha with the potential backup of Juhyun. Lightsum is not a very rap-focused group, so when looking at their 2 rappers within Lightsum of Sangha and Jian, I picked Sangha just because of her tone. Juhyun would be a decent support rapper just because she did pretty decently with her rapping in Lightsum's cover of G-Idol's Oh My God. The same 2 of Sangha and Juhyun would also be part of the dance line, which I can't really explain, but I guess just based on the videos that I've seen, it just kind of makes sense to me. Then for vocals, we'll have Hye-won and Nayeon, which I want to say both are already main vocalists within the group, so I guess that kind of low-key explains that. This was going to be it for my version of Lightsum, but then I thought I would throw in Yujong into the mix just because I think I see potential within her. She shined pretty well within Vivace, plus going back to the whole splitting the group into 2 subunits, Sangha, Juhyun, and Hye-won would really suit Girl Crush, while Nayeon and the rest kind of suit the high teen concept, which is why I would place Yujong into the mix as another member to kind of balance it out. But yeah, that leaves Hina, Hyun, and Jian as my quote-unquote filler members, which 2 of them did depart from the group, not because they were filler members. And then for Hina, I thought maybe she would be utilized heavily during their Japan promotions, but since they can't seem to get a solid foot in the Korean market, she seems to be heavily underutilized. Next off, we have Kep1er, which I know that they were formed from Girls Planet and literally required the 9 members to debut, but also I feel like a good chunk of them are being heavily underutilized. And so that's kind of why I wanna see what they would kind of be like if they were further condensed down. So starting off with the rap, I think we'll keep the main 2 rappers within the group of Hikaru and Daeon, considering the raps kind of add to to the song for me. Both of them will still be added onto the lineup just because they would also be part of the dance line with shouting. It seems like they use them the most in terms of throwing them into the centers for dance breaks. I mean, also with shouting, she just has this strong stage presence within Kep1er, so that's kind of another reason to add her if she may not seem like the best dancer, since she specializes in ballroom dancing, which may not be the equivalent to being a main dancer material. As for vocals, I mean, I feel like the Kep1er fandom has a general consensus that Chaehyun and Younggun are the top vocalists within the group, and I'm pretty fine with that too. Other than that, I want to throw in Mashiro into the wild card with potential, just because she seems like the most well-rounded of the remaining members that will kind of be able to provide support in any way if necessary. But yeah, that leaves Yujin, Bahia, and Yeso as the quote-unquote filler members, which they all obviously add to Kep1er in different ways. Specifically for those three, I do notice that they also are heavily underutilized, which could be a slight factor into my decisions, but for the most part, I also didn't want to overload the skill lines with too much members. If we talk about Kep1er, then we also got to talk about Hye-won. The only extra disclaimer that I have to put on Hye-won specifically is that I'll just be using the information and experiences from when they were around and not using their skills now. So starting off with rap, the only memorable rap moment for me was during Secret Story of the Swan. And so Yena and Chaeyeon would be part of the rap line. Both of them would also be part of the dance line with Eunbi, which kind of makes sense for Eunbi and Chaeyeon. Then for Yena, she just kind of felt more noticeable compared to the other lead dancers within Hye-won. Then for vocals, I would give that to Yuri, Eunbi, and Chaewon. Yuri obviously being the main vocalist, Eunbi because she has my favorite vocals, and then for Chaewon, I think she was low-key coming up with each comeback and then slowly was getting recognized for her vocals unless I was on something. As for my potential pick, that would go to Yujin, who just kind of missed out both vocally and dance wise, so I think she would be able to provide great support too. But yeah, this leaves Sakura, Hye-won, Minju, Nako, Hitomi, and Wonyoung as the quote-unquote filler members. Not to be BM, but I can totally agree with the sentiment of one of them or a few of them, who knows, being a filler member. The others were kind of overshadowed despite having the skills, and probably one of them improved a bit more closer to the end and a whole lot post Hye-won. But I obviously, for me, focused on during Hye-won's era. Before I even get to this group, what is even happening with them? Their last comeback was literally on the same day that I've debuted. And look at them now. But then also, 2022 was such a massive year for 4th gen girl groups. So the fact that they weren't even able to utilize any of that hype is so unfortunate. But yeah, for them, they weren't really on my radar of having filler members. But if I did use my criteria, they kind of have some, I guess. Starting off with rap, it is pretty prominent within their songs. And so we obviously gotta have EU and Asha. As for the dance line, it would go to Mia and EU, who are the two main dancers of Everglow. And so that explains that. Then for vocals, we have Mia and Xion, which also kind of makes sense as they are the main and lead vocalist of Everglow. As a result, this leaves Onda and Yeren as the quote-unquote filler members. For me, I think I can kind of remember remember them popping off in one certain era each. But other than that, they're kind of just not usually put in the forefront as much for me to vividly remember them. And then even when they do and I get to see them, I feel like I still tend to gravitate toward the other members, which it's def's a me thing, but that's kind of why I see them as a filler member. But also need to give that quick reminder just in case that obviously this is just my opinion and this might just not reflect how you see it, and so hopefully you understand that. And finally, we have another group, not even on my radar of having filler members. For Stacey's rap line, it seems like only Jay is the clear rapper for them. I know they've used other members, but none of it seemed legitness for me to consider them solid rappers. Vocal-wise, that would go to Xian, Yoon, and Issa. I feel like I kind of see those three getting praised a lot more regarding their vocals, and so that's kind of why I put those three there. Then for dance, this one was hard because they are a very vocal oriented group. I know they throw Issa and Sumin into the mix as Stacey's dancers, but since they don't really focus on dancing, I was thinking of just keeping Issa as the only dancer, as if they continue down the direction that they are going right now, obviously the dancers aren't going to be as complex to the point where they need more legitness dancers. And so yeah, that was kind of my thought process. For the most part, as long as they have at least one decent dancer, with the rest being average at the minimum, this kind of means that it's not like there's going to be a disparity or notable weak link, and so they would still function pretty well. So yeah, as a result of my thought process, which hopefully kind of made sense, this means that Sumin and Seun are the quote-unquote filler members, which, not gonna lie, but they've kind of existed for me, but really haven't had their moment to shine. Obviously, I've seen a few whose era is the Stacey editions type of things, and I've seen their names thrown into the mix of different eras, but yeah, I haven't seen that myself personally to like fully agree to that. But once again, it's not even one of those things where they feel like filler members, because Stacey as a 6 just kind of works. But also now, I would be curious to know what they would be like if they operated as a 4-membered group instead. Final thoughts. One thing I did notice was that filler members for me tend to be underutilized, and so for the most part, a lot of them didn't get their time to shine, or they were overshadowed so much that they just existed but didn't do much or didn't have enough impact. Throw them into potentially another group and things might be different. But yeah, obviously, once again, we all see things differently, and so this might not be how you feel about these groups, or you might think, yeah, kind of filler members, but different people. We all have different criterias with how we see filler members. Also, I don't think I explained it, but the reason why I wasn't including so much people in the certain skill lines was just because you won't be able to distribute things fairly enough. So that's kind of why I stuck to 3 max for each skill. But yeah, that's it for the video. Thanks for watching, and let me know whether you agree with my opinions or whether you think other members within these groups listed have filler members that I don't necessarily think are filler, but you do. Feel free to drop your own opinions on other 4th gen groups not mentioned too, because I low-key want to see how other people think. And also, I do want to move on to the 3rd gen in another video, but I'll probably just see how the reception for this video goes and see whether it gets too toxic and I gotta fight for my life, or whether we can just kind of discuss this calmly without taking it as a direct aim at you. Other than that, I've got 2 video ideas in mind. Either I'll make a real niche video on or preseason look into a show. Hopefully that kind of gives you a clue into the video I want to make. And if you're interested in those potential videos, please like and subscribe to keep up to date. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!